A wealthy individual acquires a forsaken property and discovers a young girl with an infant in dire straits. An unexpected turn of events unfolds. The morning air in Barcelona was refreshingly cool as Santiago sat in his opulent office, meticulously examining documents related to his most recent investments. The sunlight streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow on his mahogany desk, as his secretary entered with his morning coffee. In an instant, the phone rang, shattering his focus. A call that would alter the course of his existence forever. "Mr. Santiago, I have something that could pique your interest immensely," said the eager voice on the other end of the line. It was Eduardo, a broker in the real estate field with whom he had collaborated before. A historic mansion lies on the outskirts of Barcelona. This structure stands as a remarkable example of 19th-century architecture. Eduardo's voice resonated with a heartfelt passion that instantly captivated Santiago. "A historic mansion," Santiago replied, adjusting his posture in the leather chair. "Share more about her." His gaze flickered to the window, where the sprawling cityscape of Barcelona unfolded before him. "In what condition is it?" A fresh concept for a project was starting to take shape in his thoughts. Eduardo explained that it has been left to decay for decades, yet the structure remains quite remarkable. The structure boasts original columns and distinctive ornamental details, while the garden, despite its current state of neglect, holds the potential to be truly spectacular. The runner took a moment to catch their breath before pressing on. A well-executed renovation can unlock significant potential for value increase. Santiago rose from his desk and strolled over to the window, absorbing the details as he went. "Please send me the photos immediately," he urged, his thoughts racing with potential outcomes. Moments later, the images appeared in his inbox, revealing a grand edifice that, despite its wear, exuded an unmistakable grace. "When can we see her?" Santiago inquired, his tone hinting at a curiosity that transcended mere professionalism. Eduardo replied with excitement, "We can go this afternoon if you'd like. The property is ready for an immediate viewing." Santiago was pleased by the quick response, as he always appreciated efficiency. The journey to the mansion revealed much more than expected. As he navigated the road flanked by venerable trees, Santiago observed the gradual transition from the bustling urban environment to a more serene and secluded region. "It feels as if he's stepping into the past," he mused while adhering to the GPS instructions. The initial glimpse of the mansion left him utterly speechless. It emerged like a dormant behemoth amidst the untamed flora, its spires and smokestacks outlined against the evening heavens. "Seeing it in person is truly something else," he whispered to himself while pulling into the parking spot. Eduardo stood at the entrance, folder in hand, wearing a polished smile that conveyed professionalism. "Welcome to Villa Aventura," he proclaimed, invoking the property's storied legacy. "Allow me to illustrate why this mansion presents a rare opportunity." As they strolled through the untamed garden, Eduardo started to unveil the story behind the property. Constructed in the year 1875 by a noble lineage, he elaborated. For years, it stood as the heart of Barcelona's social scene, until, well, things took a different turn. Santiago picked up on the uncertainty in Eduardo's tone. "What sort of circumstances?" he inquired, his keen intuition sensing an underlying layer to the narrative. Eduardo straightened his tie before replying, "Oh, you know, the usual tales of old mansions. Whispers, primarily." The grand entrance featured a magnificent hand-carved solid oak door, exuding an air of authority. Their footsteps resonated against the worn marble as they stepped into the foyer. Amidst the dust and cobwebs, the original splendor remained unmistakable. "The chandeliers are original," Eduardo indicated, gesturing towards the ceiling. 19th-century French bronze. "The entire home brims with intricacies like this." Santiago nodded, his focus keenly directed towards the structural intricacies, evaluating the extent of the required changes. As they explored the rooms on the first floor, Eduardo remarked, "There are some intriguing rumors surrounding the house. It is said that in the midst of the Civil War." Santiago cut him off with a swift motion of his hand. I'm focused on figures, Eduardo, not narratives. What's the cost? Eduardo retrieved some documents from his folder and started to elaborate on the financial details. The cost is under market value, given the property's location and size, he elaborated, gesturing to the numbers. The current owners are eager to sell. Afternoon light streamed through the shattered windows, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow upon the worn walls. Santiago ambled thoughtfully, his fingers grazing the walls as he assessed the strength of the edifice. When was the last structural inspection? He inquired, his voice reverberating through the vacant area. Half a year ago, Eduardo replied, rifling through his folder. The report is right here. The foundational structure remains remarkably intact. The primary obstacle will be the heights and contemporary amenities. He handed the document to Santiago, who accepted it with a keen sense of professionalism. The noise of an object crashing down from the upper floor caught both men off guard. It was likely Palomas, Eduardo quickly clarified, though his tone revealed a hint of unease. Birds often find their way in through shattered windows. Santiago gazed up at the ceiling with intrigue. May we explore the upper floor? Santiago inquired, making his way toward the grand staircase. Eduardo acquiesced, trailing behind him with a hint of hesitation. Certainly, just watch your step. Some may lose their strength as time passes. The stairs groaned softly beneath their weight as they climbed upward. Santiago observed the intricate wooden handrails, now cloaked in dust, yet retaining their elegance. He remarked on the exceptional quality of the construction. Such artistry is rare in contemporary buildings. The second floor unveiled a collection of expansive rooms, each boasting unique characteristics. This was the library, Eduardo said, as he opened a door to unveil shelves that stretched from floor to ceiling, all empty and waiting. The books have long since been taken away, yet the original built-in furniture remains intact. Santiago halted at a window, absorbing the sweeping vista of the garden and the expansive grounds beyond. What is the total area of the property in hectares? He inquired, his thoughts already weaving through potential scenarios. Eduardo reviewed his notes, encompassing a total of 3 hectares, which included the gardens and the ancient orchard. As he stepped back onto the first floor, Santiago had firmly resolved his choice. His extensive background in the real estate market indicated that this was a remarkable opportunity. Get the documents ready, he finally said. I aim to finalize the agreement without delay. Eduardo grinned with satisfaction as he retrieved his phone. A commendable choice, Mr. Santiago. I can have the documents ready first thing tomorrow morning. As he spoke, a chill breeze swept through the shattered windows, resonating through the desolate corridors. I have one more thing to bring up, Eduardo said, a hint of uncertainty in his voice. Residents claim to occasionally spot lights flickering in the windows after dark. Santiago regarded him with a hint of doubt. Eduardo, you understand that I have no faith in superstitions. I seek tangible evidence. As they made their way to the exit, Santiago paused for a final moment in the hallway. The evening light poured through the grimy windows, casting an enchanting glow throughout the room. This house possesses a spirit, he whispered to himself, taken aback by his own expression. Will the renovation start right away? Eduardo inquired as they shut the front door. Santiago gave a slight nod. Tonight, I will reach out to my team of architects. I want the evaluations to commence at the earliest opportunity. His thoughts were already crafting plans for renovation. The sun dipped low on the horizon as they made their way back to their vehicles. I'll send you the documents tonight, Eduardo said, firmly shaking Santiago's hand. Congratulations on your new acquisition. This mansion is truly remarkable. As he made his way back to the city, Santiago found himself unable to shake off thoughts of the mansion. There was an essence to her that transcended a mere real estate investment. It's merely another venture, he reassured himself, yet beneath the surface, he sensed an unmistakable uniqueness about this property. That evening in his office, as Santiago sifted through the initial purchase documents, an email from Eduardo arrived, featuring extra photos of the property. In one of those moments, he believed he caught a glimpse of a shadow in the attic window, yet he brushed it off as merely a trick of the light. Prior to heading home, Santiago placed a few calls. "I require a full team for the structural assessment," he informed his lead architect. "I want to initiate this reform at the earliest opportunity." The enthusiasm in his voice was unmistakable. Santiago's final contemplation before drifting off to sleep that night revolved around the mansion. Unbeknownst to him, the property he had acquired as yet another investment was on the brink of transforming his life in ways he could never have foreseen. At the break of dawn, a group of architects and engineers had gathered at the mansion. Santiago observed them intently as they removed their measuring instruments and commenced their initial assessments. "I require a comprehensive analysis of all facets of the structure," he instructed Felipe, the lead architect. The echoes of footsteps and the murmur of technical voices permeated the aged house, shattering years of stillness. Workers proceeded with precision from room to room, diligently taking notes and measurements. "The foundational framework is unexpectedly sturdy," Felipe remarked, tapping on a wall. While the team focused on revamping the electrical system on the ground floor, Santiago took it upon himself to venture into the second floor. As he ascended the stairs, he observed something unusual: certain windows were shut from within. "This is puzzling," he murmured, scrutinizing the latches with great attention. The corridor on the second floor lay shrouded in darkness, with beams of light seeping through the grimy windows. Santiago ambled along, the sound of his footsteps resonating on the wooden floor. Upon arriving at the corridor's conclusion, a partially ajar door drew his gaze. The room felt intimate, smaller than the others, featuring an iron bed nestled against the wall and a window that let in a hint of fresh air. However, it was the items scattered on the floor that piqued his interest: a carefully folded blanket, a compact flashlight, and what seemed to be remnants of food wrappers. "This is recent," Santiago mused, crouching to inspect the items closely. The aged blanket, while worn, was impeccably clean and carefully folded. The food wrappers exhibited a remarkable resilience, showing no signs of deterioration as time passed. It was evident that someone had recently passed through this place. Out of nowhere, a subtle yet unmistakable sound pierced the stillness, gliding above him. Santiago stood still, fully engaged in the sounds around him. Their movements lacked the confident and steady rhythm of the laborers below; instead, they were tentative, almost secretive. "Is anyone there?" Santiago shouted, his voice reverberating through the desolate surroundings. The stillness that ensued was complete, yet he was certain of what had reached his ears. Guided by the beam of his phone's flashlight, he made his way to the stairs that ascended to the attic. With every step, the floorboards groaned beneath him as he ascended. The atmosphere grew denser, with particles of dust dancing in the beams of light that seeped through the fissures in the ceiling. Upon reaching the summit, he discovered a door slightly ajar, swaying softly with the breeze. "Is anyone there?" he asked once more, gently nudging the door open. The attic stretched out, a spacious yet low realm, shrouded in shadows and draped in dusty sheets that concealed forgotten treasures. His gaze swept through every nook, yet discovered no traces of existence. Yet, something piqued his curiosity: tiny footprints etched in the dust below. Their sharpness belied age, and their size hinted at a child's ownership. Santiago experienced a shiver coursing through him. He chose to descend and convey his discoveries to Felipe. "Did you observe anything out of the ordinary during the inspection?" he inquired of the architect. Felipe glanced away from his designs, pondering the peculiarities. "In what manner?" "This house has a certain age to it, and everything about it feels unusual. There are indications that someone was here not long ago," Santiago elaborated, detailing his discoveries. Felipe frowned. "We haven't encountered anything like this on the ground floor, but we could conduct a more thorough inspection." His tone, while professional, still carried a hint of doubt. That evening, Santiago reached out to his friend Jorge, a restaurateur well versed in the nuances of historic properties. I would appreciate your thoughts on a matter, he remarked, reflecting on the day's happenings. Jorge listened intently before responding. Old houses are filled with secrets. I could swing by tomorrow and check it out. The following day, Jorge explored the mansion alongside Santiago. These houses have a peculiar way of toying with your thoughts, he remarked while they scrutinized the room adorned with the blanket. The wind, along with the wood's expansion and contraction, can produce a myriad of misleading sounds. Yet, Santiago remained unconvinced. There's more to it than that, Jorge. Check out these wrappers, they're quite new. How do you account for the windows being closed from the inside? Jorge scrutinized the objects with a keen eye, his demeanor shifting to one of heightened seriousness. Perhaps they are without a home, Jorge proposed as they ascended to the attic. It is common for abandoned houses to serve as shelter. However, upon noticing the small footprints in the dust, he was rendered speechless. They were unmistakably from a boy. As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon something else, a child's drawing crafted with colored pencils, partially concealed beneath an old piece of furniture. The image depicted what seemed to be the mansion, with a diminutive figure cradling something in his arms. This is recent, Santiago whispered, examining the sketch intently. The hues were striking, and the paper exhibited no evidence of wear from time or moisture. Children are present, Jorge. Or at least, there had been children not too long ago. Jorge handled the drawing with great care. In that case, we ought to inform the authorities. They might be vulnerable youths. Yet, a part of Santiago's intuition urged him that patience was the wisest course of action. Please allow me a few days, Santiago replied. I want to explore this on my own first. Jorge's face reflected worry, yet he nodded, honoring his friend's choice. As the evening settled in and the workers departed, Santiago made the choice to linger a bit longer. He settled in the front hall, attuned to the symphony of the house around him. The stillness enveloped the space, occasionally broken by the soft creaks and the haunting whistle of the wind. In an instant, a new sound caught his attention, a gentle noise, reminiscent of delicate footsteps above him. This time, he was certain, it wasn't just his imagination or the whisper of the wind. A presence shifted overhead, making an effort to remain unseen. Tomorrow, he resolved, he would be ready as he shut the front door behind him. There's an unseen presence in this house, and I'm determined to uncover its secrets. Unbeknownst to him, he was on the brink of a revelation that would alter the course of his existence forever. As darkness enveloped Barcelona, Santiago made his way back to the mansion, armed with a robust flashlight. The stillness of the night wrapped around the property, a heavy shroud, broken only by the soft crunch of their footsteps. The beam from his flashlight sliced through the shadows as he navigated the desolate corridors with care. The ancient, dust-laden paintings appeared to observe him intently as he ventured further into the house. Chilled air seeped through the shattered windows, conjuring ethereal murmurs that trailed behind him as he ventured forth. The ascent of the grand staircase was deliberate and careful, each step groaning beneath him as if issuing a quiet caution. The old forest groaned with each footfall, saturating the air with unsettling reverberations. Moonlight streamed through the shattered panes, casting playful silhouettes on the worn walls. Particles danced in the air like tiny celestial bodies in the night, illuminated by the beam of his flashlight. The sound of his footsteps reverberated through the stillness as he ascended to the second floor of the mansion. The corridor on the second floor loomed ahead, resembling a shadowy passage, with doors slightly open on both sides. The whispers of the night seeped through the gaps in the windows, crafting a haunting ambience. His flashlight cast a beam that pierced the shadows, uncovering the decay wrought by years of abandonment. The tattered curtains swayed softly in the nocturnal wind, resembling quiet phantoms. The atmosphere here felt distinct, denser and alive with an inexplicable energy. Upon entering the room where he had previously discovered the blanket and wrappings, he sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The items appeared to have been shifted not long ago, suggesting that someone had been present following their previous visit. The sensation of a recent presence was more intense than ever in this space. His intuition hinted that he was on the verge of uncovering something significant. A sharp, unmistakable sound broke the stillness overhead. In an instant, he caught the sound of delicate footsteps in the attic, too deliberate to be attributed to the wind or the creaking of the house. His heart raced as he sensed the stirrings overhead. The sounds followed a distinct rhythm, suggesting that someone was attempting to navigate quietly. The tension in the air thickened with every fleeting moment. His extensive experience in the business world had not equipped him for this pivotal moment. Santiago ascended the attic stairs, his flashlight casting a beam that danced across the shadows, each step echoing with the soft creaks of the time-worn wood. The atmosphere became increasingly frigid and dense as it ascended, as though the very structure of the house sought to impede its passage. The portraits adorning the walls appeared to track his every move, their painted eyes shimmering in the shadows. Particles twirled in the shaft of light, resembling tiny celestial bodies in motion. With every step, he edged nearer to an epiphany that would alter the course of his existence eternally. Upon arriving at the attic door, he paused to attune his ears, detecting the unmistakable sound of restrained breathing. The door creaked open, its long screech reverberating through the vast expanse of the mansion. The area ahead was shrouded in darkness, with vague forms cloaked in layers of dust-laden fabric. The atmosphere crackled with an undeniable energy. And then he laid eyes on her. A young girl, perhaps no more than 10, huddled in a shadowy corner of the attic. Her wide, fearful gaze watched him from the darkness, assessing each of his actions. He cradled something close to his heart, as if it were the most valuable gem in his possession. The moment weighed heavily on Santiago's heart, the silence stretching between them, thick and palpable. "Hello," Santiago murmured gently, dimming his flashlight to avoid surprising her as he cautiously advanced a step. The girl's gaze remained fixed on hers, tracking each motion with an unsettling blend of apprehension and skepticism. The stillness of the attic was gently broken by a faint noise emanating from the bundle the girl held close. Moonlight streamed through a shattered window, casting a partial glow over the scene. Santiago's heart froze as he discerned the unmistakable sound of an infant. "I won't hurt you," Santiago said gently, lowering himself to her level while keeping a respectful distance. The girl stiffened, clutching the bundle more tightly against her softly rising chest. "I'm Santiago," he said softly, aiming to bridge the gap with the frightened young girl. The stillness lingered for what felt like an eternity. At last, a faint, quivering voice pierced the silence. "I'm Valentina," the girl murmured, her voice a soft echo in the shadowy corners of the dusty attic. Her fingers gripped the blankets enveloping the baby, a palpable fear coursing through her that someone might take him from her grasp. The tiny package stirred once more, releasing a gentle chirp that resonated through the stillness. Valentina's gaze flickered back and forth between Santiago and the stairs, weighing her options for a potential getaway. The resolve in his gaze hinted at a wisdom that seemed beyond his years. "And this is Mateo, my little brother," Valentina said, gently tucking the blankets around the baby with a caring touch. The young child lay in serene slumber, unaware of the palpable tension that enveloped the attic in that pivotal instant. Santiago observed Valentina's hands, petite yet skilled, as they cradled the baby with a finesse that could only be achieved through relentless practice. The sight before him was a powerful testament to resilience and the bonds of brotherhood that touched him profoundly. "How long have you been here?" Santiago inquired, his tone gentle as he sought to make sense of the unfolding scenario. Valentina appeared to pause, her gaze dimming with unspilled tears as she softly cradled Mateo. "I'm not entirely certain, perhaps weeks, I believe," she finally replied, her voice wavering a bit. The realization struck Santiago with the force of a punch to the stomach. These children had been fending for themselves for weeks. The weight of that reality utterly consumed him. "Mom said she would be back soon," Valentina murmured, her voice barely breaking the silence of the night. His slight shoulders drooped beneath the burden of the responsibility he bore, far too heavy for someone so young. The tears she had been suppressing started to stream down her grimy cheeks. The infant stirred uneasily, as though attuned to the turmoil of his sister. Santiago's heart shattered at the rawness of the moment. Santiago felt a strong resolve as he observed the two children, aware that he could not abandon them in such a state. As he observed Valentina grappling with her composure, his mind began to craft a strategy. The surge of protective instinct within him was so intense that it caught him off guard. Years spent solely on business and profits appeared to diminish when confronted with this new priority. The mansion he had acquired for investment now served an entirely new function. "You can't remain here," he finally stated, his tone resolute yet tender as he moved a step nearer. "I have a secure haven for you both," he went on, observing the way Valentina's eyes grew wide with a blend of anticipation and trepidation. Little Matteo stirred gently in her embrace, emitting soft murmurs as he dreamt. The moments that ensued stretched on endlessly as Valentina absorbed his words. The fate of all three rested on this pivotal instant. "Do you promise not to separate us?" Valentina inquired, her voice a delicate whisper yet resolute in the chilling shadows. The inquiry carried a heaviness that Santiago sensed deep within his heart. "I promise," he replied instantly, aware that his words would signify a turning point in his life. The stillness that ensued brimmed with potential and unvoiced commitments. This was the moment that would alter the course of everything for eternity. Santiago meticulously led Valentina and Matteo up the mansion's staircase, every step deliberate in the shadows. The infant rested serenely in the embrace of his sister, who held him tightly as though he were her sole lifeline in existence. The beam of light carved through the darkness, revealing the way down and creating flickering silhouettes along the stone surfaces. The ancient wood creaked beneath his feet, its sounds amplified in the stillness of the night. Santiago felt his heart race, acutely conscious of the heavy burden of responsibility he had just taken on. As Santiago approached his car, he observed Valentina's hesitation before entering, her eyes darting around the surroundings like a frightened creature. With care, he assisted her into the back seat, ensuring that both she and Matteo were secure. The engine roared to life with a gentle purr that caught Valentina off guard. The mansion loomed ominously in the shadows, a silent guardian of untold mysteries. The vehicle's headlights cast a glow on a road filled with both ambiguity and potential. "Do you feel a pang of hunger?" Santiago inquired while navigating the dimly lit streets of Barcelona under the night sky. Valentina gave a subtle nod, her gaze fixed intently on her brother as he slept peacefully. "I have a spot in mind where we can grab a bite," he said, making his way to a familiar restaurant. The stillness in the car crackled with unspoken feelings. The city lights danced in the windows, crafting an atmosphere that felt almost dreamlike. He paused at a 24-hour diner, a serene and unassuming spot he often visited during his late shifts. "Stay put," he murmured gently, observing how Valentina stiffened at the thought of being left by herself. He came back shortly, carrying a bag brimming with steaming food and a bottle for Matteo. The scent of the meal enveloped the car, and for the first time, he noticed a glimmer of desire in Valentina's gaze. The girl held her guard, yet her hunger overpowered her skepticism. "Eat calmly," Santiago advised, observing as Valentina carefully accepted the sandwich he extended to her. Her delicate hands quivered ever so slightly as she peeled back the wrapping of the food, as though she feared it might vanish at any moment. Matteo stirred, roused by the enticing aroma of food. Valentina swiftly set aside her sandwich to attend to her brother. The urge to nurture the infant overshadowed her personal desires. The scene profoundly touched Santiago's heart. As Santiago continued his journey to the apartment, he glanced in the rearview mirror, observing Valentina as she lovingly fed Matteo. "The bottle I purchased appeared to be the perfect size, and the baby was drinking with enthusiasm." The structures of Barcelona glided by like fleeting phantoms as they made their way to the city's most prestigious enclave. The disparity between the forsaken mansion and its intended purpose was strikingly evident. The glow of the city lights conjured an enchanting ambience. As he approached the sophisticated structure that housed Santiago, he observed the way Valentina's eyes sparkled with surprise at the view. The night porter regarded them with intrigue as they stepped into the private elevator bound for the penthouse. The stillness of the climb was tangible, interrupted solely by the gentle noises made by Matteo. Valentina held her brother tightly against her, a protective instinct surging within her, as if the world might snatch him away at any moment. The opulent surroundings enveloped her in a wave of astonishment. The elevator doors slid open to unveil Santiago's apartment, a realm of sleek lines and contemporary design. The expansive windows from floor to ceiling revealed a breathtaking vista of the glowing city of Barcelona. Valentina ventured forward cautiously, her bare feet embracing the plush carpet beneath her. The disparity between his present condition and the opulence enveloping him was truly poignant. The weight of his circumstances bore down on Santiago with even greater intensity. "This will be your home for now," Santiago said, flicking on the lights to unveil a spacious, inviting area. Valentina stood frozen in place, as though the slightest shift might shatter something delicate. Little Matteo had drifted off to sleep once more, unaware of the transformations happening around him. Valentina's shoulders were taut, her gaze sweeping across the apartment with a palpable intensity. On his face, hope clashed with the fear of the unknown. "Come, allow me to guide you to a place of respite," Santiago offered, directing them to one of the guest rooms. The room exuded a sense of spaciousness, featuring a large, inviting bed that felt like a dream of luxury for Valentina. A crib that Santiago had hastily obtained was placed next to the bed. Valentina's eyes filled with tears when she saw the crib, understanding that someone had thought about Matteo's needs. "You can sleep here tonight, and tomorrow we will get everything you need," Santiago explained in a soft voice. Valentina carefully placed Matteo in the crib, her movements revealing years of practice caring for her brother. The room was warm and safe, a radical change from the cold attic of the mansion. Exhaustion was beginning to show on Valentina's face as she watched her brother sleep. "Why are you helping us?" Valentina asked suddenly, her voice small but firm in the silence of the room. The question took Santiago by surprise, but he knew he needed to be honest with her. The girl's eyes looked at him with a mixture of distrust and hope. The innocence and hardness in his eyes told the story of everything he had had to face. The weight of his responsibility felt more real than ever. "Because everyone deserves a safe place to live," Santiago responded, keeping his voice firm but gentle. Words seemed inadequate to express the feelings that had led him to this decision. The exhaustion was finally beginning to show on Valentina's face, her heavy eyelids struggling to stay open. The tension in her shoulders was beginning to loosen as the warmth and safety of the room enveloped her. "You should rest," Santiago suggested, noticing how Valentina was fighting sleep. The girl nodded slightly, but her eyes remained fixed on the crib where Matteo was sleeping peacefully. The gentle rhythm of the baby's breath enveloped the room, creating a serene atmosphere that stood in stark contrast to the anxiety of the preceding hours. The events of the evening unfolded like episodes within the cozy confines of the apartment. This marked the beginning of a transformative journey for all involved. Dawn discovered Santiago in his living room, wide awake, reflecting on the happenings of the night before. The initial beams of sunlight started to seep through the windows, casting a warm, golden glow across the apartment. The gentle sound of footsteps signaled that Valentina had risen, likely to see how Matteo was doing. The ordinary nature of his morning routine had undergone a complete metamorphosis in just a few hours. "Good morning," he murmured gently as Valentina stepped into the hall, cradling Matthew in her arms. The girl paused at the doorway, as though she required approval to step forward. The infant was alert and serene, his inquisitive gaze wandering through the unfamiliar surroundings. The sun's rays bathed their small forms in light, crafting a scene that stirred something deep within Santiago. "Are they hungry?" he inquired while making his way to the kitchen, striving to keep his tone relaxed. Valentina's stomach let out a loud growl, causing her cheeks to flush with embarrassment. The kitchen, a place often neglected by Santiago, suddenly buzzed with the clatter of dishes and the enticing scent of breakfast wafting through the air. Santiago's priorities shifted with each passing moment. "I have to make a few calls," Santiago said as he prepared breakfast. "You need to get new clothes, items for Matthew," and paused to observe the worried look on Valentina's face. The girl's grip on the bottle she held grew firmer. The silence hung heavily between them, a tangible fear of abandonment lingering in the atmosphere. "I won't abandon them," he replied swiftly, grasping the source of his worry. Valentina gazed at him, assessing the sincerity behind his words. Matthew cheerfully munched on his snacks while sipping his milk, completely unaware of the underlying tension in the air. The kitchen was enveloped in the gentle embrace of the morning sun, casting a warm glow that hinted at the possibilities of a fresh start. Their lives had been transformed forever. The next few hours were a flurry of activity as Santiago meticulously arranged everything needed for the children. Calls came in rapid succession, first to their assistant, then to a children's clothing store, and finally to a pharmacy. Valentina observed every movement intently, never taking her eyes off Matthew for even a second. The chime of the bell heralding the first installment caused the girl to visibly tense up. "These are simply the items I requested for you," Santiago clarified as he accepted the bags of clothing. Valentina's eyes widened as she beheld the multitude of new garments she had extracted from the bags. A faint smile graced his lips as Santiago presented a blue mameluco for Matthew. The instant of true happiness brightened his weary features in a manner that Santiago had never witnessed prior. Susanna, the caregiver suggested by her assistant, arrived in the late morning with a wealth of experience and a warm smile. Valentina instinctively recoiled at the sight of her, clutching Matthew tighter against her chest. The skepticism in her gaze was unmistakable as she observed the woman coming closer. Santiago sensed his unease and quickly moved to clarify the circumstances. "Susanna is here to assist us with Matthew while I focus on my work," he said gently, maintaining a respectful distance to avoid overwhelming Valentina. The girl glanced between Santiago and Susanna, assessing the situation with an unsettling level of maturity for her age. The years spent making every decision solely for his brother's well-being. The urge to safeguard clashed with the desire to have faith. "You don't have to leave Matthew if you don't want to," Susanna said softly, her tone filled with understanding. Their gentle and patient approach reflected years of experience with children. Valentina appeared to ease a bit in response to the woman's words. The infant Matthew, unaware of the surrounding attention, beamed and flushed with joy in his sister's embrace. The morning progressed gradually, inching closer to trust. The subsequent days formed a careful rhythm within the apartment. Santiago adjusted his work schedule to allow for more time spent at home. Valentina was starting to navigate space with greater freedom, though she remained ever mindful of Matthew. Susanna gradually earned the trust of both children. The once quiet and orderly apartment slowly came alive with energy. "Would you like to have your own room?" Santiago inquired one morning, observing Valentina's habit of sleeping beside Mateo's cradle. The inquiry appeared to catch the girl off guard, as she had never experienced having her own space. After weeks of survival, the idea he presented was unfamiliar to her. The potential sparkled in their eyes like tiny constellations. The following day, a decorator arrived with an array of colorful samples and fabrics for Valentina's new room. The girl observed with great interest as she removed choices for curtains and comforters laid out before her. Matthew cheerfully worked on the carpet, with Susanna overseeing his efforts. The apartment slowly evolved into a genuine sanctuary. Joyful echoes started to populate the voids. The night presented its own trials, as fears and memories appeared to loom larger. Santiago absorbed the soothing melody as Valentina softly sang to Matthew in the shadows. The sporadic nightmares stirred her from sleep, summoning a mother who was nowhere to be found. The passage of time was starting to mend certain wounds, yet others would require more than mere days and physical comforts. Trust developed gradually, resembling a delicate bridge spanning choppy waters. "Do you believe our mother is searching for us?" Valentina inquired one evening as Santiago was settling her into bed. The question struck him deeply, resonating within like a powerful blow. The girl's eyes glimmered with unfallen tears in the shadows. The stillness that ensued was thick with feelings left unsaid. In the realm that separated them, truth and hope engaged in a fierce struggle. Santiago quietly delved into the background of the children's mother, all while ensuring that Valentina remained unaware of his inquiries. The early investigations failed to produce encouraging leads about Anna's location. The papers she uncovered only intensified the enigma surrounding her vanishing. His intuition suggested that this narrative held deeper layers than what was immediately apparent. The children were entitled to answers, yet they also required a sense of stability. As the days went by, Valentina began to exhibit subtle indications of acclimating to her new existence. His illustrations, once filled with shadows and gloom, started to burst with vibrant hues and cheerful characters. Matteo ventured into the living room, his first unsteady steps met with enthusiastic applause from Susanna and his sister. True laughter was occurring more often. The apartment underwent a remarkable change with the arrival of the children. The nights in Santiago's apartment had lost their former stillness. Matteo's intermittent sobs, Valentina's gentle steps as she checked on her brother, her own nightly patrols ensuring their well-being. The solitude that once permeated his accomplished yet hollow existence had been transformed. A novel kind of family was starting to emerge, surprising yet genuine. As he observed Valentina and Matteo slumbering serenely one night, Santiago came to the profound realization that his life had transformed beyond recognition. The mansion he had acquired for investment purposes had bestowed upon him something far more precious than mere monetary gains. The mysteries lingering in that ancient house would remain undiscovered for now. At this moment, her main focus was to safeguard and nurture the children that destiny had brought into her life. One morning, as Valentina and Matteo enjoyed their breakfast under Susanna's watchful eye, Santiago made the decision to return to the mansion. The structure appeared transformed under the sunlight, less menacing yet equally enigmatic. Visions of that evening when he discovered the children drifted through his thoughts. The construction crew had yet to initiate any renovations, and the stillness was profound. With resolute strides, Santiago made his way straight to the attic where he had discovered the children. Sunlight streamed through the shattered windows, casting light upon the area that had once been shrouded in shadow. The belongings Valentina abandoned whispered a quiet tale of endurance. Amidst the dust and debris, he started to search for hints regarding Anna. A weathered box nestled in the corner piqued his curiosity, standing apart from the other forsaken relics in the attic. Within, he discovered aged papers, invoices, and a few faded images. A particular photo piqued his curiosity. It depicted a young woman, presumably Anna, standing before the mansion. The photograph seemed to carry the weight of time, yet the link was unmistakable. Within the documents, he stumbled upon something of greater importance, an incomplete letter, scrawled in hurried script. The phrases, "I must protect them," and "the mansion keeps secrets," leaped from the page, resonating like urgent alerts. The page trembled in his grip as he perused, the fragments of the enigma starting to coalesce. The narrative unfolded in ways I had not anticipated. A sound from below interrupted his focus on the papers. He meticulously placed the findings into his briefcase and descended to conduct his investigation. The noise emanated from the library, a space he had yet to thoroughly investigate. Sunlight streamed through the dusty windows, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow. The library revealed itself as an unforeseen wellspring of knowledge. Desolate shelves adorned the walls, yet within a concealed drawer of the main desk, Santiago discovered additional documents. Ancient correspondence and real estate documents unveiled a rich tapestry of the mansion's past. His family's name was featured on multiple documents. The aged documents held mysteries from long ago. He chose to reach out to a historian with expertise in ancient properties. Ricardo, a seasoned individual in his middle years, made his entrance the following day. His eyes gleamed with keen curiosity as he scrutinized the discovered documents. The mansion concealed a multitude of secrets beyond what Santiago had envisioned. Connections started to unfold, weaving together like the intricate strands of a spider's web. "This property boasts an intriguing past," Ricardo remarked while examining the documents. In the midst of the Spanish Civil War, it served as a repository for precious items. His skilled fingers flipped through the pages with a sense of deep respect. A sequence of dates and names emerged, gradually revealing a coherent pattern. The papers unveiled a tapestry of familial mysteries and concealed wealth. "Look at this name," Ricardo said, gesturing to a signature on an old letter. "Ana Martinez was once part of this establishment years ago." Santiago's heart quickened at the mention of Valentina's mother. The correspondence highlighted his role within the estate and his privilege to sensitive details. The consequences were concerning. Within the documents, there were mentions of a concealed chest located in the mansion. Ricardo explained that these records hold significant documents and may include evidence of questionable financial dealings. Exploring the chest might uncover deeper insights into Ana's ties to the mansion. With every revelation, the enigma grew more profound. Santiago and Ricardo dedicated countless hours to scrutinizing every nook and cranny of the mansion, all in pursuit of the elusive chest they had mentioned. The time-worn walls appeared to protect their hidden truth with a fierce possessiveness. Their footsteps reverberated through the desolate hallways as they embarked on their search. The light of day was slowly fading, casting elongated shadows across the landscape. A slightly ajar panel behind the fireplace drew his attention. "There's something here," Ricardo whispered, his skilled fingers tracing the contours of the panel. The corroded metal groaned in resistance as they finally succeeded in prying it open. Within, a time-worn chest lingered, shrouded in layers of dust accumulated over the years. Santiago's hands trembled ever so slightly as he attempted to open it. The details might shed light on Ana's disappearance. The contents of the chest unveiled a tale steeped in treachery and hidden familial truths. Correspondence outlining questionable financial arrangements, documentation of dubious transactions. A vintage photograph captured the moment of two families united, his and Ana's. The revelation struck Santiago with the force of a punch to the gut. The bonds ran deeper than I had ever envisioned. A specific letter piqued his interest. It came from Ana, composed weeks prior to her vanishing. "I have unearthed a revelation that has the potential to transform everything," he penned. "The mansion conceals the truth of past events." The words implied that Ana had uncovered details that placed her at risk. Santiago's heart swelled with worry for Valentina and Mateo. Amidst the papers, they uncovered a document that would alter the course of their understanding, an ancient family tree that unveiled an unforeseen link. The connection between Santiago's grandfather and Ana's grandmother was one that remained hidden from the world. The truth surfaced like a specter from bygone days. The implications were remarkable. Valentina and Mateo had become integral members of their family. "This clarifies many aspects," Ricardo remarked while examining the papers in the subdued illumination. The historian highlighted dates and names that linked the fragments of the family puzzle. The grand estate had served as the backdrop for a tale that unfolded across the ages. Long-held secrets were at last emerging from the shadows. The burden of the revelation settled heavily upon Santiago's shoulders. Upon returning to his apartment, he discovered Valentina immersed in her drawing as Mateo peacefully slumbered. The likeness of the girl, reminiscent of vintage family photographs, acquired a fresh significance. The instinct to protect that he had sensed from the start now found its reason. Their shared blood had conveyed its message long before the papers were signed. Destiny orchestrated a reunion for the family. Santiago remained awake throughout the night, meticulously reviewing the documents over and over. Ana's words from her final letter resonated within him, "Trust Santiago, he can protect them." Now, he grasped the reason the children's mother had selected the mansion as a sanctuary. The circle was starting to tighten, yet lingering questions remained regarding his vanishing act. The dawn greeted him with a fresh determination. He would not only safeguard Valentina and Mateo as he had vowed, but he would also unveil the truth about his mother. The children had a right to understand their complete history, their heritage. The mansion, initially acquired as a straightforward investment, had transformed into the convergence of a long-awaited family fate. The subsequent phase involves uncovering the truth behind what truly transpired with Ana. The following breakfast began just like any other, yet Santiago felt it was the moment to unveil the truth. Valentina delicately spread jam on her toast, her eyes fixed on Mateo as he engaged in a playful battle with his porridge. The kitchen was bathed in the warm glow of the morning sun, enveloping the space in a delightful ambience. Susanna busily arranged additional bottles for the day, a gentle melody escaping her lips. The tranquility of home stood in stark contrast to the burden of the secrets that Santiago harbored. "Valentina, I have something to share with you," he finally said, gently laying some photographs on the table. The girl's eyes grew large with surprise as she spotted her mother among them. The photograph captured Anna from years past, poised in front of the grand mansion. Mateo struck his plate with fervor, unaware of the mounting tension simmering in the kitchen. Susanna understood the gravity of the situation and quietly took the baby. "Why did you have photos of Mom?" Valentina inquired, her tone laced with both intrigue and doubt. Her delicate fingers brushed against the photograph with a sense of reverence, as though she could draw the memories from the paper itself. The question lingered in the atmosphere as Santiago meticulously arranged his thoughts. At last, the time he had been anticipating was here. "I discovered these photographs within the mansion," Santiago started, selecting his words with precision. "However, there is a crucial detail you must be aware of." He revealed the family tree he had discovered. His hands trembled ever so slightly as he removed it. The revelation was poised to transform their existence for all time. Valentina's gaze tracked each motion with a fierce focus. "Your mother and I, our family shares a bond," he continued, gesturing to the names on the document. Valentina bent closer to the paper, her gaze following the intricate lines that linked the names together. A look of realization was starting to emerge on his face. The stillness in the kitchen thickened. Time felt suspended as he awaited her response. "We are family," Valentina finally inquired, her voice a soft murmur in the quiet of the kitchen. His gaze sought Santiago's, a blend of anticipation and uncertainty swirling within. The paper between them appeared to pulse with the significance of the discovery. Valentina's hands trembled as she followed the paths linking their names. The threads of destiny intertwined in a manner far beyond what anyone could foresee. "Indeed, Valentina. I am your great-uncle," Santiago replied gently. The language felt inadequate to convey the profound nature of the bond. Valentina's eyes brimmed with tears as she absorbed the news. The echo of Mateo's laughter filled the living room, a poignant reminder of his transformed existence. The kitchen appeared to close in on them while the moment stretched infinitely. "That's why you assisted us," Valentina remarked, her tone definitive rather than inquisitive. His fingers lingered gently over the photograph of his mother. Santiago subtly shook his head, inching his chair nearer to hers. The truth had to be whole. The sunlight wove intricate patterns across the kitchen table. "I assisted them because it was the morally correct choice, Valentina. I only discovered we were family just yesterday," Santiago revealed. The words flowed forth with a sincerity that astonished even him. The girl gazed at him, assessing the sincerity behind his statements. The connection they had forged in recent weeks transcended mere blood ties. The bond they had forged was more resilient than any biological tie. "And Mom?" Valentina inquired, her voice trembling just a bit. The inquiry struck Santiago deeply. The discovered documents indicated that Anna was aware of the connection. The letters found in the chest disclosed his deep dive into the family's past. Each revelation added layers to the enigma of his disappearance. "I believe I was aware," Santiago replied thoughtfully, revealing the letter he had discovered. Valentina felt a swell of emotion as she recognized her mother's handwriting. The words on the page transformed, gaining depth and significance in the wake of the revelations. The echo of Susanna's footsteps alongside Mateo as they made their way back to the kitchen brought about an instinctive lull. The infant reached out to his sister, intuitively aware of her unease. "Your mother was looking into something significant at the mansion," Santiago continued as Valentina embraced Mateo. Clues indicated that Anna had unearthed hidden family truths that placed her in peril. The chest held papers that might unravel years of enigmas. The reality was starting to unfold like an intricate enigma. Valentina's gaze remained fixed on her mother's letter. I discovered additional documents that clarify his reasons for selecting the mansion as a sanctuary, Santiago elaborated. Questionable financial dealings, the hidden agreements, they were all woven into a grander narrative. Valentina exhibited an unexpected depth of understanding for someone so young. Matteo fiddled with the buttons of his shirt, lost in his own world, unaware of the unfolding truths around him. The kitchen was heavy with the presence of family history. We're going to find her, Valentina said, her voice a blend of hope and trepidation. Santiago grasped her delicate hand, observing the fragility that enveloped her. The inquiry held within it a depth of suffering and yearning accumulated over many years. The papers strewn across the table held not only hints but also cautionary notes. Finding Anna would prove to be a challenging and perilous endeavor. I will do everything in my power to find her, Santiago vowed, his tone resolute yet gentle. His words carried a sincere resolve, despite his awareness of the potential dangers. Valentina nodded thoughtfully, cradling Matteo close to her heart. The trust reflected in his eyes was a treasure that Santiago cherished deeply. The moment signified the dawn of a fresh chapter in his quest for the truth. The remainder of the day unfolded in a charged tranquility. Valentina absorbed the details while engaging with Matteo, pausing now and then to examine the photographs and documents. Susanna observed the children closely, fully aware of the significance of the occasion. Santiago toiled away in the confines of his home, placing subtle calls to private investigators. The quest for Anna must be approached with the utmost care. That evening, as he gently tucked Valentina into bed, he observed that she was clutching her mother's photograph beneath her pillow. The straightforward yet poignant act unveiled the depth of her longing for Anna. We have become a larger family now, Valentina murmured softly before drifting off to sleep. His words struck Santiago's heart with the precision of a well-aimed arrow. The revelation had deepened the connection that was already present between them. The papers discovered in the chest hinted at further truths, yet Santiago understood the importance of moving forward carefully. The clues indicated that Anna had ventured too near perilous truths. The mansion concealed far more enigmas than he had ever envisioned. Ensuring Valentina and Matteo's safety was his utmost concern as he uncovered the truth. The moon cast a soft glow over the apartment as Santiago examined the documents once more. The intricate web of family ties, the hidden financial truths, Anna's vanishing act, each element wove together into a grander enigma. His life had transformed completely since acquiring the mansion, yet he now possessed a distinct mission, to safeguard his newfound family and seek the truth. The quest was only starting. The following morning, Santiago convened with the top private investigator in Barcelona. Detective Bustamante, a seasoned man with keen eyes and a subtle demeanor, absorbed every word as Santiago detailed the circumstances. The papers from the chest lay scattered across the desk in his secluded office. The pressing need to locate Anna resonated in each phrase. The investigator meticulously recorded observations while examining the images. We'll begin at the final location where she was spotted, Bustamante detailed, gesturing towards a map of Barcelona. Documents indicated that Anna had placed a call from an area located to the south of the city. The date aligned with the moments leading up to his vanishing. The investigator meticulously marked the map with lines and circles, crafting a strategic search pattern. The opportunities unfurl like a delicate web woven throughout the cityscape. These bank documents are quite intriguing, Bustamante said softly, scrutinizing the papers discovered in the chest. The financial activities revealed questionable transfers of funds in the days leading up to the vanishing. Anna appeared to be tracing a financial path. The figures revealed a narrative steeped in deceit and hidden truths within the family. The peril he had encountered was starting to materialize. We must exercise utmost caution, the detective cautioned, his voice heavy with apprehension. The clues indicated that Anna had unearthed a secret that someone was desperate to conceal. The contents of the chest were merely a glimpse into something much larger beneath the surface. Their safety hinged on the carefulness of Valentina and Matteo. Santiago nodded, fully grasping the gravity of the situation. The inquiry commenced with subtle conversations among residents in the area where Anna was last spotted. Bustamante approached his task with precision, crafting a comprehensive timeline. Every account, regardless of its size, contributed to the overall picture. The scene that unfolded was troubling. Anna had been running from something, or perhaps someone. A week later, Bustamante announced, "We found something," as he displayed photographs captured by the security cameras. The photographs captured Anna as she walked into a bank just 2 days prior to leaving the children at the mansion. His expression was taut, perpetually glancing back over his shoulder. The briefcase she held might harbor the very documents that threatened her safety. The bank emerged as their subsequent opportunity. The bank records disclosed that Anna had secured a safe deposit box earlier that day. The contents stood undisturbed, poised for their rightful claim. Santiago and Bustamante moved forward with the required paperwork to gain access to it. Excitement mounted as they awaited the green light. The items within that box hold the potential to unravel numerous enigmas. "Be ready for whatever we might encounter," Bustamante cautioned as they stood at the bank. Safe deposit boxes frequently contained hidden truths that transformed destinies. The initiation process felt like it stretched on forever. Bank employees examined each document with careful precision. The clang of metal meeting metal as the box was finally opened echoed ominously. Within, they discovered additional documents, a pen drive, and a sealed letter directed to Valentina. The evidence gathered was thorough and meticulously detailed. The digital files held a trove of records detailing dubious transactions that stretched back over the years. The ties extended to the upper echelons of authority in Barcelona. The reality proved to be far more perilous than they had ever envisioned. The letter to Valentina carried a unique, intimate touch. Anna detailed her motivations, the inquiry she undertook, and the reasons that compelled her to part from her children. The phrases overflowed with affection and remorse. A caution was also present, indicating that influential figures sought to conceal these truths. Their children's safety hinged on the absence of sound. The paper bore the marks of tears in various spots. The files on the pen drive unveiled an intricate tapestry of corruption entangling numerous influential families in Barcelona. Anna uncovered that the mansion served as a pivotal hub for financial and legal dealings. The old manuscripts in the chest revealed a deeper significance with this newfound knowledge. The families involved featured names that frequently made headlines. The threat loomed, palpable and immediate. "We require legal safeguards," Bustamante asserted after examining the evidence. The intricacies of political ties rendered the situation highly sensitive. A reliable attorney with expertise in corruption cases was reached out to. The documentation has been duplicated and safely stored in various locations. The safety of Valentina and Mateo emerged as the foremost concern. A photograph nestled within the documents drew Santiago's gaze. It depicted Anna alongside an older woman in a café on the fringes of Barcelona. It was merely 3 weeks prior. The woman's face evoked memories from cherished family albums. The prospect of discovering Anna alive became significantly brighter. This was the latest lead they possessed. Bustamante recognized the café captured in the photograph and initiated surveillance operations. For several days, they meticulously watched the establishment and its familiar patrons. The woman in the photo seemed to follow her familiar routine each morning. The actions were deliberate and subtle. Was he perhaps anticipating something, or someone? The solution may be just around the corner. "We need to tread carefully," the detective cautioned as they mapped out their next move. The method of approaching the woman needed to be nonchalant, ensuring no suspicions were aroused. Any misstep could draw the attention of the wrong individuals. Anna's safety, no matter her location, relied on his ability to keep things to himself. The inquiry was approaching its most pivotal moment. The woman revealed herself to be Teresa, a past employee of the mansion who had collaborated with Anna's grandmother. The first gathering was charged, laden with careful pauses and scrutinizing looks. However, when Santiago brought up Valentina and Mateo, there was a noticeable shift in his demeanor. The burden of untold truths felt heavy upon him. The reality was starting to surface. "Anna is alive," Teresa finally disclosed, her voice a mere murmur in the almost deserted cafe. The words washed over Santiago, bringing with them a rush of both relief and unease. The previous staff member revealed that she had been assisting Anna in concealing herself. The findings she had unearthed had placed her squarely in the sights of influential figures. His sole choice had been to vanish. "She observes her children from a distance," Teresa continued, tears welling in her weary eyes. Anna had been tracking Valentina and Matteo's journey through trusted channels. The choice to abandon them at the mansion was deliberate, fully aware that Santiago would eventually discover their whereabouts. The bond within the family was anything but accidental. It was all woven into a frantic scheme. "He requires solid evidence before he can come back," Teresa clarified, handing over a note with an address. "The location for our gathering should be discreet, shielded from unwanted observation." The meeting with Anna hinged on stringent security protocols. The papers he had gathered would serve as his safeguard. The circle was starting to tighten. The journey toward uncovering the truth had evolved into something far more profound than just a straightforward quest for family connections. A tale woven with corruption, generational secrets, and a mother's unwavering love for her children demanded to be shared. Santiago understood that the forthcoming step would carry the greatest risk, yet it was undeniably the most crucial. The long-awaited reunion with Anna was finally within reach. The gathering was set for a Sunday morning in a historic church on the fringes of Barcelona. Santiago showed up an hour ahead of schedule, meticulously adhering to Teresa's instructions. The solitary stone structure rose against the sky, which was starting to brighten. The wooden benches groaned beneath his steps as he lingered. The atmosphere crackled with intensity in the brisk morning chill. The faint echo of delicate footsteps caused his heart to freeze in place. A cloaked silhouette stepped forth from the dim recesses of the confessional. Anna appeared more slender, her face etched with concern, yet her eyes held on to the same fierce resolve captured in the photographs. The long-anticipated meeting was finally taking place. The phrasing felt ill-suited for the occasion. "How are my children?" were his first words, his voice trembling with suppressed feeling. Santiago pulled out his phone, displaying the latest photos of Valentina and Matteo. As Anna scrolled through the images, tears streamed down her face. Her fingers glided over the joyful expressions of her children displayed on the screen. The anguish of parting was palpable in each movement. "They are well cared for and cherished," Santiago replied, continuing to share details about the children's everyday experiences. He discussed with her Matteo's progress, Valentina's artistic creations, and the adjustments to his new environment. Anna absorbed every word, captivated by each nuance. His expression brightened with every tale, yet the sorrow lingered in his gaze. The gravity of his choice was evident in every look he wore. "You were correct regarding the mansion," Santiago remarked, retrieving the documents they had discovered. Anna nodded solemnly as she examined the gathered evidence. The gathered files, along with the latest findings, presented a compelling argument. The long-awaited truth had finally come to light, revealing its full form. The moment for action had come. "The case is primed for presentation," Santiago articulated as he unveiled the strategy they had crafted alongside the attorneys. The evidence would be presented concurrently to various authorities and media organizations. The influential figures at play were unable to suppress the truth on this occasion. The public exhibition showcased safety. The strategy was carefully devised. "When will I be able to see my children?" Anna inquired, the question she had been suppressing since the start. Santiago conveyed that all arrangements were in place for a secure meeting that very afternoon. Valentina and Matteo sat at home, unaware that Valentina's mother would soon arrive. Susanna was in the loop, and all preparations were complete. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement for the upcoming reunion. "Valentina keeps inquiring about you," Santiago remarked gently. Anna shut her eyes, allowing tears to cascade down her cheeks. Every day, the anguish of leaving her children haunted her thoughts. The explanation he had crafted for Valentina felt inadequate in this moment. The anguish of parting transcends the limits of language. The initial beams of sunlight started to seep through the stained glass windows of the church, casting vibrant patterns upon the stone floor. The time for revelation was drawing near. The documents were meticulously arranged, and the statements were thoughtfully crafted. The intricate web of deceit they had unveiled was on the brink of revelation. The justice Anna had pursued was finally attainable. "The moment has arrived," Santiago remarked, glancing at his watch. "The plan is set to be executed shortly. The documents would be handed over to the journalists, and the authorities would be informed. After years of obscurity, the truth would at last be revealed." The safety of Anna and the children relied on the concurrent presentation of all the evidence. Santiago's apartment was meticulously arranged for the gathering. Susanna meticulously organized every detail, crafting an inviting and secure atmosphere. Valentina sketched serenely in the living room, unaware that her life was on the brink of transformation once more. Matteo frolicked in his pen, his joyful giggles echoing throughout the area. The air was thick with anticipation. The chime of the doorbell caused a collective pause, as if time itself had momentarily halted for everyone present. Susanna cast a glance at Santiago, who gave a subtle nod before making his way to the door. Valentina lifted her gaze from her sketch, intrigued by the palpable sense of anticipation in the air. The footsteps in the hallway carried a unique resonance, each sound lingering in the air like a whispered secret. At last, the time they had eagerly anticipated had come. Valentina gently called out to Santiago, her voice steady and calm, ensuring she wouldn't startle him. "There is someone who wishes to see you." The girl gradually rose to her feet, her eyes growing wide as she beheld the figure stepping out from behind Santiago. The pencil he clutched slipped from his grasp, landing on the ground with a muted thud. In that instant, it felt as though time had come to a standstill. "Mom," Valentina called out, her voice shattering the stillness as she dashed toward Anna. The effect of the meeting resonated like a powerful surge of feelings. A mother and daughter enveloped each other in a heartfelt embrace, a poignant expression of the months spent apart and the ache that accompanied their separation. Their cries intertwined as Anna showered her daughter's face with tender kisses. In that moment of pure connection, words fell away, rendered superfluous. Matteo, hearing his mother's voice, started to move in his pen, reaching out his tiny arms toward her. Anna, still holding Valentina close, moved toward her young son. The infant beamed and cooed with delight as his mother lifted him into her arms. The family, at long last brought together, created an unbreakable bond of warmth and safety. The news emerged that very afternoon across all media outlets. The revelation of the corruption network rattled the very core of Barcelona's elite circles. The formidable identities, the forbidden dealings, the long-held secrets, all were unveiled. The revelation that Anna had ultimately uncovered was common knowledge among all. Justice set forth on its unyielding path. In the days that followed, as the media frenzy raged on, the family adjusted to their new circumstances. Anna made her home in Santiago's apartment, forming a unique family dynamic brimming with affection. Valentina thrived in her mother's presence, her artwork now bursting with vibrant hues and cheerful characters. Matteo reclaimed the moments he had lost with Anna, who remained steadfastly by her children's side. The mansion, the very spark of this entire tale, had undergone a complete transformation. The atmosphere had shifted, it transformed from a realm of hidden truths into an emblem of hope and fresh starts. Santiago chose to turn it into a sanctuary for underprivileged children, elevating its initial investment intent into a cause of profound importance. The corridors that once held secrets now echoed with the joyful sounds of children's laughter. One evening, Santiago pondered the idea that the most meaningful families are often those we create ourselves, as he observed Anna reading a story to Valentina, with Matteo peacefully resting in her lap. The home environment vividly illustrated the intricate ways in which destiny had intertwined their lives, revealing surprises at every turn. Affection and devotion had prevailed against hidden truths and avarice. The genuine richness they uncovered lay not in monetary exchanges but in the connections they had nurtured. What started as a straightforward property acquisition transformed into a narrative rich with themes of redemption, justice, and familial affection. The grand estate, shrouded in mystery for ages, was now embracing fresh starts. Valentina, Matteo, Anna, and Santiago discovered not just the truth, but a sense of belonging. The mysteries of yesteryear had come to light, yet the horizon brimmed with hope and potential. If you enjoyed this story, we would greatly appreciate your support by liking and subscribing to our channel for more realistic tales. We would be delighted to hear your thoughts in the comments, as it brings us great joy to ensure our followers enjoy their experience. Thank you immensely for the unwavering support that your blessings bring to us and your family.